want to follow up with me tomorrow at some point,
Yeah.
or Wednesday, then we can touch base. I'll probably have an answer from the Department of Revenue on what that looks like.
Great, sounds good. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Great, exciting.
Yeah.
You want me to,
Okay.
Can we just, since we're already
I know.
past 6:20, can we just say if we have any questions? I don't have any questions, I'm fine with it.
The thing, I don't either.
Okay. I mean, and I was in all of them.
Okay.
I feel very comfortable.
This doesn't go to the board. This
it will, it'll probably, I mean,
Tonight?
we plan on taking it to consent agenda.
Okay.
Is there any issue with that? Alright, great.
Great.
We'd be efficient. Okay.
Have a nice
So
day.
we can
Yeah.
adjourn JPL.
All right.
We'll call budget and finance to order. Only 2 minutes late. Okay, we have 3 items and we have 40 minutes, so, does anyone have any comments on, or questions on a financial advisor item?
Were the staff based locally, or Minnesota, or where are the
They are
people?
in the
Okay, so they'll come down if we,
And they, they now, they're so much, my, that newfangled stuff that we don't know about, but yeah, they do a lot.
Telecommuting.
Yeah, teleprompting.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah,
They do
with
a
the
lot of that kind of
office.
stuff, yeah.
they have an office here, but the,
They do have an office here, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
but these particular, they were, real knowledgeable and on both the TIF aspects and on the, and economic development more broadly. I mean, that was one thing that we liked about them, is that they've worked in other states, so they have more than just, they had perspective on other tools besides just, TIF. And then, I mean, they were all pretty similar for the financial
Okay.
advisor part, but they were all qualified and it's all pretty
Right.
much the same, so, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we were pretty we were all pretty impressed with them.
Okay.
all right.
Okay?
And then, when is that going to the board?
Is that's on
that
the,
tonight?
that's on the agenda, right? Tonight, I don't know, this agenda.
I know, this
It's so
agenda's, like,
gargantuan, I have
huge.
no idea.
I don't think it was.
I think it was.
I don't believe it
I
is.
don't think
It's
so.
not?
No.
No, because it has to go through committee first, and then
Okay. All right, then I think
So
we're
then I'll
fine
go
to
back.
just put it on the
Yeah,
full
then-
agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, unintended water loss policy, so there were 2 people who contacted the village that had a leaky toilet and had a big bill?
well, we proactively contacted the parties when we realized the extent of the bill. One was a property owner who has thoughts about developing a site, so they own that property with this site, with the intention of redeveloping it. The other one was a household, and I'm not sure what the water superintendent was able to reach them before they got the bill or immediately after they got the bill. But we were aware of the issue, which really prompted an internal discussion on, this is not, these situations are not the leaky toilet situations. These are pipe breaks inside the house, and bills were, one was $15,750, the other one was $21,000 some dollars.
It was just their water bill, is that it?
Their utility bill, the water and sewer portions.
Oh my God, that's one.
So, so we felt it was appropriate to bring this before the board to decide if the board wanted to pursue some remediation activity by adopting a policy that allows staff to mitigate under limited situations, those types of issues.
So,
And that's what the memo is about.
I mean, so there's been 2 situations in how long? When was the last time this happened?
I think it's been a couple of years since we had one this big.
Okay.
But
These
it's
both
not
happen to be close to
it's
each
just,
other, time-wise?
well, the timeline is it was winter probably, and then the pipes had problems in houses that weren't occupied regularly. And, you know, it doesn't take as long as you would think to go through 1,000,000 gallons of water, or two. The more typical situation is the illustration that I've given in the staff memo, where somebody has a significantly leaking faucet or plumbing fixture in-house. It's not necessarily a broken pipe. Although broken pipes, if you're living in a house, can be discovered pretty quickly and have effectively the same outcome as a long-term basement toilet that doesn't seat up properly and just runs and runs and runs day after day after day. So that's the illustration that's much more common, which any policy would be applied to all situations that meet the criteria. So the two big bills this time prompted staff to bring it before the board, but this is not extremely uncommon that people would have households with bills in excess of $1,500 or $2,000.
But I mean, a bill for $15,000 for a quarter is more than 50 cc, or triple the average quarterly. It's more,
Yes.
probably like 20 times the average
Yes,
quarterly.
but the 50 cc's is where the relief would come in under the proposed
Right,
scenarios.
but I mean, somebody could put in landscaping and be watering a lot because they have new landscaping and would qualify for this.
Well, that's why the concept here is to see if you want to pursue drafting a formal policy. The formal policy would include a lot of additional language that talks about, you know, what's an average use, does that apply to seasonal watering or not, you know, things of that nature. But we didn't feel it was appropriate to devise full-blown implementable policies unless the board felt that pursuing a policy in general was in the best interest of the utilities and the community and the residents.
Well, wouldn't your homeowner's insurance, if you have a broken pipe, would your homeowner's insurance, I don't know if they would cover the water bill, I don't know.
I mean, I just know, like, my own personal situation, we had a leaky toilet and had an $800 water bill one quarter. You know, and it sucks, but I also am like, we made a mistake, and so I see both sides of it, and there have been some months where, you know, it's a very hot August, and we're
Yeah.
watering the lawn a lot, and we're, you know, our water bill's significantly higher. So, I mean, I have some trepidation in that, where do you draw the line? You know, what is that?
Well, that's where the concept of triple the average usage and the 50 cc floor before you're even eligible for relief kind of was contemplated. Again, that I think is gonna cover the vast majority. And again, you're always gonna run into a situation where somebody rips out their entire yard and starts putting hoses and they generate some big bill. But that wouldn't be unintended use, although, you know, you could apply this policy to this. This, again, is not designed to be a necessarily automatic thing, it's designed upon request, when these situations happen. So staff would not proactively do that, but would wait for the resident to contact the utility and say, hey, you know, this is, you know, we have no idea what's going on, or this was some sort of mechanical failure, but, you know. The nice thing about Shorewood is that the seasonal usage is not usually that dramatic. You know, they're relatively small lots. The people who water will do the same types of watering every year. You know, we've got those records, we've got the history, so.
What, if someone had like this vacant property, then they decide to rent it, you know, all of a sudden and the usage on the property goes, because now there's a family of 4 or 6 in that's one of my concerns, is that the criteria be, that we aren't triggering it all the time, that it's the $10,000, it's the $2,000 bill, you know, that's just a pipe, the main pipe breaks in your.
Well, again, the average household usage is somewhere between 13 and 15. So we use 17 as, again, the upper threshold of what is minimally or a little bit above average. And then it has to triple that to even kick in. You have to get to the 50. So Well, there are households that use that on a regular basis.
Right.
Right.
That's why it's triple or 50 or triple, whichever is higher. You know, again, we put a little thought
Oh.
into trying to craft that, so
So it's whatever's higher, not lower?
triple average or 50, whichever is higher, because, you know, the other thing is a house is vacant for a year and they use 20 units.
Yeah.
Well, and again, staff would devise language that defines again what is typical, what's a look-back period, you know, things of that nature.
I would just, I mean, I think we're all saying make it a little bit higher than 50, because we are trying to look at, you know, the really catastrophic bills. so.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, we could,
yeah, I mean, I think.
staff
the
would not
really
object to that because
catastrophic
it's,
ones are-
you know, but again, you know, when you get a, well, like the example in this case, on the second page, example 3, you know, you get a $2,000 utility bill, and that's really the, you know, yeah, that's 250. 50 would be 425. And if you're typically using, example 1, I mean, that's, you know, again,
Yeah.
we're happy to offer any adjustments to this in the upside if that's what the board feels.
I'm not opposed, as long as the criteria is set and it's more of the exception. And I don't have a problem, definitely the village needs to recover its costs, you know, what we've paid for the water. But if we're not incurring, and this water is just going down the drain and it's clear water, there's no really sewer, I mean, we aren't billed for the sewer, I mean, there's no cost with the water on the sewer. When it's
Not
a
at this time.
unique situation like this where it's just running, as long as we cover our costs and the criteria is triggered, so you don't get if you were because the damage to your house is probably pretty amazing
Yeah.
too.
And the other thing not to be lost on the discussion is under any of these scenarios, you know, the water usage credit is nominal because we have to pay almost $3 100 cubic feet for water, so we're really only talking about a nominal adjustment for the water portion, but it's a sewer portion, as you outlined. In the current environment, you know, we don't get billed from MSD more because of that situation, so.
Yeah, I think if you have a leaky toilet or a leak in your house, which Jessica had 800, so a 50 CCF utility bill would be 425 in charges, so she had $800. So that's more than 50, so that's
Would be
probably
maybe
70 or so,
Mhm.
75, something like that. So I'm not sure that I feel we need to subsidize a toilet. I mean, did you hear, I don't know.
No, I mean, it was in the basement and, you know,
Oh, it
and
was
it's
in the
like,
basement.
there are, you know, not fun things about being a homeowner, and that, you know, is a perfect example of we should have probably known that and, you know, figured that out sooner. And
I mean, that's
it's definitely-
different from pipe bursting
For
when you're not.
sure, and I
home, you know.
think, and so that's where my thoughts are, is that it needs to be for these more
Yeah.
catastrophic situations and, you know, not for somebody who didn't realize that their toilet was leaking for, you know, a month or whatever that may be. And I would be interested to know though about the homeowner's insurance and what, you know, I don't know how we can, I mean, I'm sure we could contact a
My,
insurance company, but what would they cover any portion of that bill, in addition to the damage done? to
I
the
am
property?
not 100% familiar with all the permutations of the types of homeowners coverage you can get. Leanne, do you have any thoughts on that?
Related to, no, that was a question I was
Yeah.
wondering also.
Mhm.
I mean, the damages to repair, potentially damages to restore from that much water,
That
certainly, but the actual cost of the utility bill,
been there,
Yeah.
homeowners insurance covers
The bill, the
The
water
bill
bill
or
too,
the
Damage.
property, yeah.
Right.
the damage,
Yeah.
yeah,
They're
not the bill.
so, I mean, if it's your guidance to draft a policy that instead of using 17 as a baseline, uses 25, And then instead of 50, that becomes 75 CCF to get, you know, in that $700-800 range. We could certainly draft a policy that models that as well.
I don't even think we'd be a little bit more than that, I think like 1,000 is sort of that cutoff point. You know, I mean, to get to that point, because you could have a leaky toilet and still be within that range. If that makes sense, so I don't know what that water
25
would
and
be.
4 times to get to 100
100,
CCF.
which would be 1,000,
That'd be,
about a 950.
yeah, you know, I mean,
It's a,
I mean, yeah,
yeah.
because I mean, the point is the really the
Right.
catastrophic loss.
I mean,
But aren't we gonna, once we have the new water meters in, aren't we gonna have a better, we will have a handle on this too, won't we?
If the board chooses the AMI system, yes. Under an AMR system, it would be no different than what we have, from a reading perspective, what we have now.
Will they'll drive around, right?
On the AMR, yes.
I thought they
Every
were
quarter.
gonna, I thought they were gonna
Every
drive
quarter.
every other month.
No, every quarter.
Quarter.
Yep, we're not, the billing cycles would not change under any meter system selection. We're not proposing changing billing cycles. But the AMR would be a drive-by that we would collect quarterly. The AMI would be, the daily
Okay.
transmission.
That's interesting to know.
and again, you know, staff's always in an awkward position of saying, well, it's not great. But again, it's these extreme examples that prompted the discussion that does the board want to have a policy and